Um, I'm John Lee with St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association, and I don't know who else is going to be here today. I think Lloyd had some siding he was taking care of, and Jim may or may not be here. It looks like Amber joined us from the board, so good to see you there too, and Laura's here. I guess we can go ahead and get started. Laura, do you want to go ahead and start with our disclaimer here, please?
Sure. Go ahead. Good morning and welcome, everyone. First, I'd like to do a bit of housekeeping. Feel free to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Please be mindful of everyone else by muting yourself while others are speaking. You're welcome to put any contact information that you want to share into the chat. We meet here to share deals, look for deals and solutions we have in need with our real estate. We are not your financial advisors, attorney, or accountants. We do not endorse or recommend any specific solution or contractors here. You're advised to do your own due diligence to your own satisfaction before you invest. The first Friday of each month is normally Ask the Attorney with Ms. Catherine Davis. Our meetings are typically recorded, so only share what you want others to know.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, good to see everybody. I see David joined us here too. Carrie's up there. How's your leg doing, Carrie?
Can you hear me?
There you are. Yes.
Yeah, I'm still in a walker, believe it or not. It's just not healing, and apparently my body's rejecting the hardware. So the screws are backing out. I said, go figure. So I just have been trying to I'm going to start putting weight on it and go through therapy. And then hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully they don't have to, if they have to take it out, they don't want to take it out right now, the screw, because I don't know what it's actually holding together in my knee. So we just got to wait and see. But thanks for asking. How are you guys doing?
Wow. Well, my knee's good.
Yeah, good.
Oh my. Yeah. They're just thinking about you. And
thank you.
We were talking about you the other day and just wondering how you were doing. So
awesome. Thanks so much.
Good to see you. You're smiling. So that's got to be in the right direction anyway.
Right. Of course.
Well, we wish you well with that. What's going on as far as the interest rates and stuff? Is there any insights you can give us or anything behind the scenes going on?
The word on the street right now is when the Feds meet next, they're not going to raise the interest rates. I think they're happy with prime at 8.5. I think they see a little bit of slowdown, that's what they're wanting. The housing market slow down a little bit in terms of, overpaying for, homes that people just, waived inspections, that type of thing, when that craziness was going on. So things are kind of settled down. I think the Feds are a little bit happy with what's going on. And so hopefully, maybe into first quarter 2024, maybe second quarter, they'll start to come down a little bit. I do see them coming down. I don't ever see a 3.25% interest rate or prime rate again. Yeah, so I mean, at least it's kind of, people have sticker shock. That's true. And I think on my end, a lot of the issues seem to be people who were repricing, obviously. So on a 5-year balloon, people are coming off of that 3.5% and going to an 8.5%, 9% and having to adjust, with that payment and adjust their tenant, those, rental amounts. So I think, it's a little bit of struggle for investors and landlords right now just to get their tenants to be able to afford the rate in interest, the hike in interest rates. So
you brought up a good point right there with some of the adjustable rates, because I was, we were in a group the other day in a meeting, and guy who does some pretty big end multifamilies, they have big, large apartment buildings, like hundreds of people and up to several hundred. And what they're doing right now is, because their notes are coming due, they're having to buy down, pay into it. And a couple of these, he was saying they had to put in like a couple $100,000 to keep it to where it's affordable and they can make it float. And the other point that I thought was pretty good, what Peter was saying was, some of the people didn't do that. They're cash poor right now, and they're, because of that, they're starting to get some really good deals on these apartments because they have some cash put away.
Right. So, I could
So
see that. And, I could see it being, either it's going to be either one way or the other. If tenants can survive with the increased housing, rental rates, then I can see a landlord being able to kind of make it through this next hump. Maybe a shorter term balloon would be good. Since we do foresee the rates coming down at some point, instead of a 5-year balloon, maybe try a 3-year balloon so that if it adjusts, you get to adjust that sooner than necessarily, refinancing in the middle of a term, which causes, a lot of interest rate hikes and that kind of thing too. So that might be something to consider.
Now, what about like prepayment penalties? I know some of the people just redoing their things before they come due, and I know we used to have a thing depending on it was a couple year period or something. I don't remember the exact rules. What would that be? Can you?
Yeah, typically, I can tell you how we do it. We do not. It's not a normal loan to do a prepayment penalty. What we will do, though, is we will give a rate concession if they agree to like a 2% prepayment penalty. So if they plan on keeping the loan with New Frontier Bank, then some of them will do that. Some of them will just, give me that 2% deduction on rate. And, or it's usually about a point and a half usually. And I'll, risk the 2% penalty if something was to happen. So I think lenders are kind of understanding that there needs to be some kind of, whether it's a grid or something to get, because we jumped so quickly, just went from, 3.5 to 8.5 in just a matter of no time. So a lot of those weren't repricing even at 5. That they were at 3.5 and now they're repricing at 9. So I think buying down is very common. It's kind of like in the mortgage industry when you buy down your interest rate or pay points per se to get that lower monthly payment. So I could see that happening. There's a lot of different creative strategies out there to try to help in getting I guess, like I said, the sticker shock, trying to alleviate that and help some of our customers kind of way through all of that stuff.
And really, if you think about it, a point and a half or 2 points isn't that much money in the scheme of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, a smaller balloon instead of a 5, do a 3. That way it'll reprice sooner and you're not stuck into a 5. Even if, like I said, if, check with your lenders, make sure, when you're doing this, what if you do have a prepayment penalty, what that penalty is. And then just kind of, like I said, CD rates are great right now. Checking accounts are paying great right now. So make sure that any cash flow that you have is sitting in an interest-bearing account and you can grow some money like that as well.
Makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. And would you like to go ahead and give us your contact information? So if anybody, I do want to say, if anybody does need any money, Carrie is the go-to person right here.
Yeah,
and
thank
she's very
you.
knowledgeable. She's always here to help us, and she adds a lot of value. You do, and I appreciate that. So
thank you. I enjoy this very much. My name's Carrie Curley. I am a commercial lender at New Frontier Bank in St. Charles. We finance investment properties, lines of credit, the whole gamut. We're a St. Charles County bank. We have 2 locations and we're getting ready. We just broke ground on our Lake St. Louis location. So I'm pretty excited about that, but I will put my information in the chat. And if anyone needs to get in touch with me, let me know. I'd be happy to help.
Thank you, Carrie. And I think you got a question in there. I think Denise wanted to know. Denise, you can feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like. What is the current non-owner occupied rate for 2 to 4 unit properties in LTV?
Typically right now we're still at an 80% LTV. Current, I would say non-owner occupied. Hold on one second. Let me see where we're at right now. On a 5-year balloon, we're probably around 8.25, 8.5. So it's a little bit below prime, 20% into it. And I do believe that one is confined. Yes. And it's a 7.75 with a 2% penalty, prepayment penalty. So if you want that rate, that would be part of that. So
do you offer a 30-year fixed?
We do not offer 30-year fixed. We amortize over a period of probably 20 to 25 years at max. But typically it's always a 5-year balloon is the longest balloon we go. And then we just renew those as time goes on. So it's not a fixed product for commercial real estate, but that's kind of the standard in the industry, if you will.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hey, Carrie, I had a question. So I think this week there was some new guidelines that were sent out in regards to is it Fannie Mae, I believe,
Okay.
allowing more multifamilies. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I haven't really got into that. I know on the consumer side, FHA, VA, and all of that stuff is pretty popular. Not on the commercial end. And it seems odd, only because the federal government, makes it very strict that business is business and consumer is consumer. So if you're making a profit in a business world, they're not going to typically get into a program like that. They will for consumers, but not for investment or investors. I haven't seen it. I'd love to.
Well,
I'd love to.
right. So it's not in an investor. So they were, at least from what I read, it was clear you have to be a homeowner living at the multifamily, right? But
Right.
instead of putting the 20% down, I think it was 5% on 2 to 4 families, I believe.
Yes, they do have those programs out there. One of the qualifications that it used to be, and I haven't really checked on that in a while, Amber, I haven't been asked about that, but you have to occupy 51% of the project or of the residence or of the duplex, whatever it is, the apartment, duplex, however that's going to happen. But if you occupy 51%, then it's considered owner occupied. And actually on 1 to 4 families, you can typically sometimes, if you are an actual live at the residence and at least at least own or live in 51% of it, you can go on the consumer side and you can get 30-year fixed and go through that route as well. That's just one of the requirements, is that you have to, your part has to be 51%. You can rent out the other, whatever, and you can go through just a straight conventional consumer loan for that.
Okay, yep, I hadn't heard that one nuance, but yeah, I thought it was very interesting that they were giving FHA a run for their money, lowering the percentage, the down payment percentage.
Yeah, and there's some programs out there too. I mean, like I said, with SBA and different things like that, there's some federal programs out there that do kind of make kind of like 10% down is one, 5% down is one. There's different things out there that I've seen with the Small Business Association. So they do try to be a little bit creative, I guess.
Now, Carrie, what would constitute a 51%? Would that be like if you had a 2-family, would that mean you have your storage in the basement and they can't, or something like that?
Yeah, and how they do that and how I think they do it based on square feet, honestly, John, livable square feet. So say, for example, you have a duplex and your basement is finished with an egress window or something that allows it to be considered part of the square footage, and the other person doesn't have that or whatever, that can constitute as owner occupied. So even though you're getting rent and renting it and acting as a landlord and acting as an investment business, as long as you occupy 51%, you can go conventional on a consumer loan.
Will they come out and measure that, or is they taking?
It's probably up to the appraiser on how that works.
Okay.
I don't know if lenders go out there and do that, but or banks per se, but basically on the appraisal, they'll let us know if that's something. And I don't get into the consumer side. I'm strictly commercial, although I do consumer stuff. It's just not where my forte is. So I always have to find those answers and questions out. So if you need anything, you want to know anything, I can certainly ask the appropriate people, but that's about what I know.
Okay, great, very helpful. I think there's a couple more questions. Let's see. Do you do FHA, I guess, loans?
That we do on a consumer basis, not on a commercial basis.
Yeah, not for investors, but for for owner occupied. And then let's see, Fabian had, Carrie, what is your current seasoning period for rental refinance? That's a good question. Yeah.
We typically like to see at least a 6-month minimum seasoning, just to kind of build that relationship, see how that's going to work. There's certain requirements we'd like to see with a new customer. Obviously, we'd like to have your operating account so that we can partner with you and be your one-stop shop lender. Obviously, that's what every bank and lender wants, is, to take care of their customers and be that one go-to person that they, our customers go to. So, having the operating accounts here, having it pay as agreed for 6 months at least. That's kind of where we are. That's kind of how we see that.
That's very good to know. 6 months is not very long either.
It's not. It's
That's
not. And we tried, like I said, it's a relation. If we have the whole relationship with us, then that's kind of what we like to see. Obviously we, if it was something different, and it depends on the strength of the borrower. I think, in commercial lending, everything boils down to that. It is just the wherewithal and the cash flow, and if the property cash flows and those different things too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very good information here. And yeah, I think Casey here asked for your for your contact information again.
Yes.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind giving that and then put it in the chat when you get a chance, that'd be
I
very
will.
so
Okay.
yeah, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, very good. Oh, so if anybody needs money, go to Carrie. And also I guess I had one more question here. And what are the areas that you actually service?
We are in St. Charles County. We are a St. Charles County bank. So we don't really do St. Louis City, but we do St. Louis County. So it's really one county behind over us. And then other than that, it would be an exception to policy. It's possible to do it. It's just, it would have to be a great deal for us to take it to board to do an exception because it's out of our trade area.
Now, possibly and I'm just throwing this out there, like, let's say that I have 5 or 6 properties in St. Charles and have a relationship with you. And then all of a sudden I got this really great deal on this 10 family down in St. Louis City in a fairly good neighborhood or something. And the deal makes sense where I'm putting, 50% down. You'd probably consider something like that?
Absolutely. We would do it at the normal terms. We've done loans for, some of our seasoned customers in Lake of the Ozarks. So, I mean, it's not like we can't, we just need to make our board aware of it, just so that they know where our concentration is. Because sometimes that gets to be, a bank has to look at, they don't want all of their lending activity in one certain area. So therefore we have to spread it around. So if we get pretty tight in a concentration where we have a lot of loans to a particular area, we need to kind of diversify that and do some other things. So we look at a lot of things when doing that. But like I said, St. Louis City right now, and you being a great customer, that would not be a problem.
That's something I really like about dealing with a bank like yourself too, is because you'll look at things individually where maybe some of the other ones don't do that. They treat you as like, look at your score and just the numbers and stuff like that, where you can kind of see, well, hey, this guy does this and this makes sense. So
yeah, and that is really one of the things that I can't even grasp myself. As much as we are, we're a community bank, we do so much for the community with our volunteer and all of our other stuff, but we're really, we're here to build relationships. That is, and that I'll talk to anybody. I love talking to people, but, and I want to be able to help, and I love helping them. And, it's really community banks, it's not a cookie cutter program. We do look at the deal on its own merit. It doesn't come through a matrix and yeah, you're approved. Yeah, you're denied this and this. We do try to do the deal every time we try to do the deal. So
yeah, very nice. I appreciate that. That's just clearing that up, because I know that can make all the difference, especially when we're kind of new. Some of us, even if we've been around a couple of years and you have a couple of deals, because if you get out of, maybe you start to branch out and want to level up a little bit, you need somebody like yourself that can work with you on that. So that's good.
And I think once your lender understands your business model and understands where you're wanting to go and the direction that you're wanting to go, and they kind of fly by this, right beside you and kind of grow with you, and understanding where you're going, it helps a lot. When we have a little bit of foresight, it's hard when a business owner really doesn't know what they're wanting to do, where they're wanting to go, how big they're wanting to go, if they want to stay small. It's hard to leverage that. And it's hard to see what kinds of lines of credit they'll need, what kinds of different things that they'll need. So it's great when you let your lender walk beside you and you guys do it together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's great to have good partners like yourself. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Well, let's see. We had Renee, are you still there? You said you had to hop off. Can you want to unmute yourself and say what you're looking for here?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name's Renee. Trying to keep it short, but it looks like I typed a lot. I may need a handyman for a 4-family in North City near Forest Park. We've had some issues with the property manager, and we still need to get occupancy for 2 of the units. As far as I know, the issues are not, something that needs like a tradesperson, like I think all the electrical and plumbing and all that stuff is done. I'll confirm that with the inspector, but if somebody knows a good, reliable person who can do the work in a timely manner, I'm not expecting miracles. I'm not like, do it today, because I know people have other jobs. But like, in a timely manner, good work, reliable, and shows up when they say they're gonna, please email me. I put my email in the chat, and it's time sensitive, because we had I thought my property manager was taking care of stuff, but there's a deadline from the inspector, or we get in huge trouble. So thank you.
It sounds like you already had your property inspected. What was the outcome of the inspection report?
Well, that's the
I
thing.
guess what exactly are you looking for from the tradesperson?
No, I said I don't need. Okay, so I don't know the exact, I know like 1 or 2 things. I don't have the inspection report. The property manager has it. 2 units have passed inspection. I have the occupancy certificates for those. The other things are, things like the person who boarded up the windows. I guess that one of them has some leaks coming through it. But we know it's not the roof or the gutters or anything, because we already, those are brand new. So basically, I need to get to the list from the inspector to be absolutely sure what I need. But if, anybody knows somebody, like I said, reliable, I'd appreciate it. Sorry, I couldn't be more clear with that.
Now, are you going to get a copy of the inspection report, Renee? Are you going to be available? Because that would be helpful for anybody that looking at the scope.
Right. Well, the thing is I haven't gotten a hold of the inspector yet. He usually takes a couple of days to get back to me, and I'm. So, and like I said, we had a property manager that's been fine, but I haven't been able to get a hold of him for 2 weeks. So I'm concerned that, he's not going to get it done and our tenant's going to have issues, because he moved someone in after, I thought we had passed. And I'm not sure. I don't think he lied. I think he genuinely thought that we passed. I think he doesn't understand the difference between the inspector saying something that's got to be done and or that it's a suggestion. To be honest, I mean, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The issue is, I don't want our tenant to be tossed out in the street because, we didn't get stuff done in time. And I know that the inspectors, I was a fire inspector, so I know if we move on this, that they're not going to be, like with that exact date, and, like they know we're doing something, we'll probably be fine. But I want to make sure that, we can show that we're doing something immediately.
So I agree with what you're saying. I don't think that they'll throw your tenant out on the street at all. But I would say, because you've moved a tenant in, you will definitely be fined. That's in the rules when you sign up for a inspection, that you won't have a tenant in your building until it's approved. So you'll definitely receive a fine.
Yes, we already have.
Okay.
I'm paying it. I'm going to pay it today since I haven't been able to get a hold of the property manager. Mail it, for some reason, mail it to Boston is very slow. So I got the letter on October 3rd. So technically the deadline is November 3rd, which is why I want to, get a hold of him. I could schedule an inspection, but I don't want to waste his time since he's already been out there. So I'm gonna, try to get a hold of him and see if he, if he can give me the list or if he just wants to come out again. Yeah, we've already gotten that, and like I said, I want to, I'm sorry I can't be more clear, but I have not gotten the list yet.
Okay, well, if anybody has someone they could refer to Renee, that would be great. And would you like to go ahead and verbally say your contact information too for anybody watching the replay, Renee?
Yes. My name is Renee, and I'm one of the partners in a 4-family. The email would be 5427 Cabanee LLC. That's CAB as in boy, ANN as in Nancy, E @gmail.com. Or you can reach me at 857-287-4273. Please text me first because I don't pick up. I usually don't pick up if I don't know who's calling. So I'd appreciate a text first if that's possible. Otherwise, I have voicemail. So thank you so much for letting me tell you my sob story.
Thank you, Renee. I don't know if it's a sob story. I think it's just part of doing business.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Yeah. If it was cookie cutter approach, it would be easy and everybody'd be here, but it's not
Right.
quite that way.
If it was easy, everyone would do it. Yeah.
Right. And that's not the case. That's why we're here. It takes a special group of people to do this business anyway. So.
For sure. Oh, and Amber, thank you for your questions because I know that's like things I need to be prepared to answer when I call the person. So I'll make a list of that and I'll make sure I have all the answers before I get a hold of the person. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I would just suggest, because I've had that before, failing for something stupid, but leave them a voicemail and they'll probably respond back via email. So just let them know what you're doing. And I mean, same day, they usually respond when they're between houses or whatever.
Yeah, I have a call into him, but he usually takes a couple of days. And I called him Wednesday afternoon. So he does get back. I know he does get back to me, but I know they're very busy, and I know, like I said, I used to be a fire inspector, so I know pretty much exactly how things work. So I don't expect him to get back to me 5 minutes after I call. But as soon as he does, and I'm also going to call him right after I pay the fine to let him know that, to ask him if he'd rather I schedule an inspection for him to come out again, or would want me to get stuff done first before he comes out. And thank you for that too, Amber. I appreciate it.
Okay, if anybody can help Renee out, that'd be great. Maybe even Amber, you might even know someone as far as that goes, because you do have a lot of experience and good insights for the city too, because the city is a different it's a different beast than the county, and I know every area is different, and in fact the county has several municipalities and they're all different besides the blanket of St. Louis County. So that's the nice thing about dealing with local people, because you can find out what you need to know for each area. So thank you very much. Okay, does anybody have anything they want to buy or sell today? We kind of started off on a couple other things, but a lot of times that stuff is very important. In fact, all the time it's very important. But does anybody have anything they want to
I
buy or
apologize.
sell?
This is Renee again. I just wanted to that we are out of state. We bought in St. Louis because one of the partners' husband is from St. Louis. So that makes things a little bit harder, which is why I'm asking, this group for a reliable, person, because it's been a frustrating journey. It's been an expensive lesson. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Renee, because that is the good thing about dealing with people locally. And there is a lot of people that come here. We do have a lot of people that attend our networking here from all areas of the country. I mean, all over the place. And there's a lot of people that do invest in St. Louis for different reasons. One reason is we do get a lot of good, well, you call them good deals, but you got to know some of the, some of the areas and the people to deal with too. I know your relationships and your partnerships are some of the most important things you can do. And we have a lot of people that meet here on our platform, every Friday, and you never know who you're going to run into. So, and we welcome you to keep showing up. And it's something actually, as you get your things figured out too, this is something that just like Amber, you'll be able to help people down the road with some things. You'll say, oh yeah, I already went through that. And you'll know about the inspectors and some of the stuff that, that you're dealing with right now. So we do encourage you to keep showing up. So thank you. And I hope you have a lobster for me in Boston this weekend if you can. I love Boston. It's a great area. So it's good to have you.
Try. I'm going out tonight to a place, so if they have lobster, I'll have one for you.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, does anybody have anything they want to buy or sell today? I mean, that's why we originally started meeting here. Actually, the original reason was for Ask the Attorney with Catherine Davis, and she was going to be here a couple weeks ago, and she didn't have the link, and I didn't see her email till 5 minutes after we ended the meeting. And she's been traveling, and she had some things going on with her husband, some health issues, but they're doing good. And she will be back here I'm not sure if it's next week or the week after, but she'll be here back with us real soon here. So, and speaking of attorneys, I don't know if some of you guys, I know were at the meeting last Tuesday with Roger Wallach. He's a member attorney, and he talked about a lot of good things. I don't think the replay is up yet on the member site. It should be on YouTube. I think I have it on there, but if you haven't had a chance, you might want to watch that. He talked about entities and then a lot of things dealing with LLCs that you can and cannot do, which is very interesting. Like with evictions, as an LLC, you cannot go to eviction court and file that yourself. If you operate that way, you do have to have an attorney do that for you. And a lot of people mistakenly do that to save the, I don't know, $400 or $500 or whatever they are. I know personally with the few evictions that we've had over the years, I've always had an attorney, and I just think that's a great thing to do, is use the professionals. They're already in place because they know a lot of things you don't know. And I know a lot of times, especially some of the newer landlords will try to save a few dollars. And my experience is you don't save anything by not having the best in your field. But the LLCs, I don't know if you guys operate, if you're operating under a business entity. I know us personally, we have a couple of LLCs, and I do have an S corporation too. It depends on how you're set up. Of course, you'll need to talk to your attorney and your CPA when you do set all that up. But it gives you a little bit of protection over your personal assets. Not always they can get through some of that stuff, but it does make a big difference. So if you need to set something up, you may want to talk to Roger. He had a lot of good things. A couple of the other things he brought up, I don't know if, one of the things we've been personally talking about here too is one of the things he brought up was a beneficiary deed. And a lot of people don't use those. And Laura and I, my wife, we're looking for some right now, because that's a great way. I did this back when I was a mortgage broker years ago for certain situations, but that's a great way to pass on your property without going through probate, without going through a lot of other things, without even having your kids or siblings or whoever squabble over your properties, because it's very much spelled out. And this is something that's actually revocable, but you can sell your house, you can do anything you want. But what this actually does is, upon your death, it automatically transfers property, just almost like a quitclaim deed, but it's a little bit stronger, I believe, in the court system, but it will transfer it right over to whoever you say wants your property. So that's something that's, a lot of people, I think it's underutilized myself. And the way we actually used it originally was, when we do loans, and a good example is sometimes we'd have, like a single mother that would have like 4 or 5 children or something like that. And it seems like there's always one responsible one that's not, and the other ones are all kind of like flopping around, or something like that. But she would want to do that. And this is how I came across this too, was through a title company. But you'd take the responsible kid and give that over to them, give the property. And then the one that's not responsible, the kid that's in jail or whatever, and out of trouble. And then the other ones who really don't care, but they'd still need something. She would be able to control that. But yet if something came up and you wanted to sell your house, you could still do that. And it just kind of goes away. So unlike a quitclaim deed, you didn't already deed it to anybody, but it's only upon your death. And I at one point looked at doing that with all our owner financing deals that we do with people, but then I got to thinking, well, maybe somebody would find out you know, because I'd like to give all the properties to them, but I didn't really want to tell them because I figured somebody might want their property more than they want me to be sitting around here taking their payments. So I decided that was a bad idea. But as far as your personal residence and things like that, even your investment properties, it's, you know, it's something you may want to think about doing. So just thought I'd throw that out there because this is something personally we're dealing with right now. So, and I think it's a good thing to know. So I guess back to, does anybody have anything they want to buy or sell today? Anybody looking for anything? Anybody have any properties they would like to sell? No? I know a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines right now in the, you know, as investors. They don't know whether to sell because they still think their property's at the top of the market, and other ones don't want to buy it because they think they can get a better deal. So there's a lot of people just sitting there. And oh, Ann, you got a question here? Are you talking about the deed upon death? Yeah, beneficiary deed. Would not be. No, the one, what I'm talking about it doesn't have anything to do with not being able to transfer it. It doesn't matter. You can do this immediately and you could sell your property tomorrow. Is that your question? And feel free to unmute yourself if you would like. Like, doesn't work well. Okay. Well, yeah, I know that I've only dealt with well, other than selling properties, I've only dealt with properties in Missouri, and the beneficiary deed works for any type of property that we've ever dealt with. It's just a good way to transfer your property. That's title. They won't issue a clean title. That's not my experience with a beneficiary deed. I don't know if you're talking about the exact same thing or not. It's similar to a TOD, a transfer on death, that you would put on a car title or something like that. And that's the way the beneficiary deeds work. But you don't have to do anything if you sell your properties. Like if you put a beneficiary deed on there for one of your heirs, and then let's say, you know, down the road a year or two or whatever, you just sell it. You don't even have to get them to do anything. It just goes away because you were still in control of your property.
Hey, John. Hey,
Yes.
John, David. I think what she might be talking about, thinking about this after a while, with what she's saying in there about title companies, is I think she might be talking about the affidavit of heirs. So when somebody dies and you don't go through probate, on a short sale, I do this all the time. 20% of my short sales right now are actually with deceased people. And we have a technique that we use called affidavit of heirs, where and I know it's very strange, but if you can just get somebody to notarize that somebody owns a house, then the title company will record it, and now they can sell the house, and that's called an affidavit of heirs. So when somebody's passed away, that's the kind of deed that it becomes. So I don't think she's talking about what you're talking about.
Yeah, those are two different things. That was a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that would be, yeah, okay. Yeah, beneficiary deed would have nothing to do with all the other heirs. It doesn't matter. You could have 100 heirs, but if you specifically spell out a beneficiary deed, you know, on a beneficiary deed, who that is, that's the end of it. So now if they sell the property, there's other consequences. You'll have to go, you know, see what your taxes are and all that kind of stuff. But okay, let's see here. Oh, Benedict, he wants to know any recommendations for attorney to handle a contract lawsuit, a rehab contract. You know, I always recommend just starting with Catherine Davis, because she's always been so helpful. And she, even if they don't specialize in something, she has been really good about, not just me, but everybody that's ever asked her about referrals. Your property's in, I believe you're in California, Benedict, and your property's in St. Louis. Is that correct? I don't know if you can unmute yourself for a little more clarification.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, I'm in California. The property is in St. Louis County.
In the county. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get Kathy's phone number for you, her office phone number. You can try them. They will, like I said, could refer you to someone if they don't handle directly that direct lawsuit that you're talking about. But I'll get
Hey,
that.
hey, John, I've used Roger Wallach for that type of situation before, where you got an independent contractor agreement dispute. So Benedict, get a hold of Roger Wallach, who spoke, at the Tuesday meeting. He handles rehab contract lawsuits.
Okay.
Yeah, but his number too. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they would like to share with us today?
Yeah. Hey, John, I got something. I'll throw it in the chat box. Okay. So last Thursday evening, hopefully that you can pull that up. Last Thursday evening, we renovated a house, went on the MLS last Thursday at 5:30, active on the MLS, and we listed the house for $259,900. Okay, so everyone's always like, well, what's the market like right now? What's happening in it? Is it crashing? Is it this? Right? And stuff like that. Well, we listed our house in St. Charles. You got hopefully a link. You can see pictures of the house there in the chat box. We listed for $259,900. On Tuesday, we're under contract for $282,000. $282,000. Multiple offers all over list price. And we took the one at $282,000. So the market's still good, at least for me.
Yeah, and where was that, David?
It's in St. Charles, 3413 Fleet. I try to put a link to pictures of it in that box. I don't know how that works. If you click on it, maybe you can see the pictures and stuff like that. But yeah, that was actually that was a short sale house that one of my students did on it. And so if you want to know the numbers on it, he bought it for $135,000 and sold it for $282,000. So that's pretty good. Now he did do a $40,000 rehab. Okay, so he paid $135,000. He put 40 in it, so he's got 175 in it. But he sold it for $282,000. We have to close on it, of course, but we're under a contract for $282,000. So that's kind of exciting. The market's still good.
Yeah, that's a good area too, and they seem to move pretty quick. That's a good question though. I guess real quick, just kind of a little off the subject, but not too much. You say you put 40,000 in it, but Carrie, what would that be? I mean, how do you guys look at that? Is that stuff? Will you look at the ARV depending on the person's history, or like for a new person, usually you don't, but I mean, would that be something that you would look at and consider what the rehab would be, or how would that work?
Yeah. Basically what we would do is we would do on a project like that, we would fund the house at 135 under a construction loan, interest only for 12 months or however long it takes it to get completed. Once it's completed, the appraiser would do an as completed appraisal. So that's what we would go off of. And at the end, it would turn into a P&I, and then we just go on from there.
Okay. And David, how long did that take, that rehab that you're talking about? Would that fall within them kind of guidelines there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, I think okay, this is my business. Okay, I rehab 10 houses a year, but I think that you should do $10,000 worth of work per week. Okay, theoretically. Now that doesn't always happen, but you don't want to be farting around. You should be done in 6 months, in my opinion. Okay, I think 12 months is way more than what you need. But Carrie, are you able to loan any of the rehab money, or does the borrower have to come up with the rehab money?
Yes, we do. We do fund the construction, and we would finance 80% of the as completed appraisal price. And the 12 months is up to 12 months, David. It's not, it's when the project's done, it turns into P&I, and we just go from there. But yes, we do fund the purchase of the property, and we fund the construction.
Okay, so on 80% of 282, assuming that the as completed appraisal would have matched the 282 that's reality today, you would have funded 80% of that. You would have funded $225,000.
Well, we would have funded, you didn't put that much in it. You only needed a $40,000 construction cost. So that's what we would have funded.
Right.
The amount of money that you would have put in it is what we would have funded.
So you would have funded the whole 135 and the 40.
Yes, and
Makes
we would go off of, you know, you would need a construction contract and your bids and all of that. And, you know, we'd go through a dispersing company, so they would disperse it. But it would just be the amount that you need. Now, if you want to do something and at the end of that time, take a cash out loan on that, that's possible. You can do that too if you want to take some equity out of it, since there's so much there.
Well, yeah, we're selling retail. We're
right.
housing providers. We want home ownership. So how much money would the rehabber have to put down of his own cash on this project?
It would be 20%.
Okay, so 20% of the 20%.
As completed.
Okay. So okay, so you'd have to have 20% of the 282,000.
Well, he'd have to have 80% of the 135 and the 40,000.
Okay.
Because we would finance the actual project and the purchase.
Right, because he had 175, 135 plus 40, so he only needed $175,000. Out of that, how much cash would he have had to bring to that deal?
20%.
1% of that. Okay, great. I appreciate you running through this with me here.
No problem. Happy to help.
Yeah, cool. Okay, great. Fantastic. Because I've got a lot of students and they need funding and stuff. So that's great. I'm gonna be contacting you later.
Awesome.
And talk
Sure.
about the details with it.
Okay.
Kind of thing. I don't want to do it here with everybody
Nobody
else.
wants to hear all of that, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay, what's the construction rate?
Currently the construction rate is floating Wall Street prime minus a quarter, so 8.25.
Okay. And is that interest only during the construction period?
Yes.
What's the points on that?
There are no, I mean, we do a 0.5% typically, 1 to 1. It's usually a 0.5 to 1% origination fee, but other than that, there are no fees that aren't third-party fees.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Really good information. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, we all need money for our deals. That's for sure. First thing is to find the deal. Second thing is to fund the deal. But it's always good to have your exit strategy in mind when you do this too. So know what you're going to do. And what are you finding is I don't know if there's really an average, but the turnaround time on some of these projects now, not right now, because I know some things are getting a little bit better than they were. We're still having problems getting people to come out here, but we're a little bit away from the city. Not problems, but it just takes longer.
Yeah, I think the supply and demand chain, I think, that's kind of curbed a little bit. I haven't really heard that people are waiting on supplies. Obviously getting the guys out there, it says like any contractor who's good is busy, very busy. So that seems to be the struggle. But a lot of people who do this have their subs and, have their subs in mind. They GC it typically by themselves, or maybe they do hire a GC, but if they've been doing it for a long time, typically they have their subs and their subs know what they want. So, they try to work with them. So I haven't really had too many problems doing any of that.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good point too, because the people know each other and they kind of know who they like to work with.
Right.
I guess they don't necessarily recommend or not recommend somebody, but you can, they have people they like to work with. And that's what we found anyway, is, just kind of listen to your GC or to your other contractors, and, and you do things in order too, which one of the things we've been finding out. You can't get ahead of yourself on one thing. Somebody has to do something to have the other person come in, but they know who they like to work with. So back to relationships, very important. So a lot of good stuff. I guess nobody has anything they'd like to buy or sell today. everybody's working on stuff. It sounds like, just
Hey, I was going to jump in here if you guys can hear me.
yeah, sure.
This is Peyton Gillets. Carrie asked me to hop back on. I'm a CPA, but I was on about a month ago or so. We're doing a real estate tax planning workshop on October 26th. So next Thursday, I'll drop the details in the chat here. But she asked me to hop on and just to let everyone know about it once more. I'll drop those details in a promo code too if anyone wants to attend. But we'll be going into some different tax planning strategies and things that, whether it's realtors, flippers, long-term, short-term rentals, business owners that just want to own their building, all of that can utilize to reduce taxes this year, next year, and the future years, and just kind of plan for it better.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, taxes are always something we got to be concerned with. That's for sure. All right. All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about today? Anything to buy, sell, anything you're working on that you could need some, I don't know, whether it's guidance or just some opinions on. We're always here to say what we know and what we don't know. So. Well, if not, I guess we could call it a day. I do appreciate everybody tuning in. A lot of good conversations. We'll have this up. I always, now that I can do it with my new Starlink out here, I will go back to my rule that I'll have this on YouTube by midnight tonight. That's always the rules I do on the recordings. And they may or may not be on the website by then on STLREIA.com. But they will be in the member site as soon as Judah, the webmaster, gets it up. And if you have not watched the replay from last Tuesday, the main event with Roger Wallach, I would encourage you to do that. And if you're like me, you can watch it on 1.5 speed so you can get through it quicker instead of watching the full thing at regular speed. I do that on everything these days. So that's one of the nice features we have. But if you need anything, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, good seeing y'all, and we'll see you, I guess, next week. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sean.
Yes. Amber?
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Goodbye.